Hello everyone, my name is John Bussart. I'm an HPE Solution Center engineer for Ingram Micro. I help support servers, blade systems, storage, as well as networking technology solutions from HPE. In my videos, what I like to do is take a slide from a popular PowerPoint and then present to you what that means within a management interface. Today, we're going to look at HPE's StoreVirtual 3200 based storage solution. Now the StoreVirtual 3200 represents the next generation of the StoreVirtual platform, so we have a nice new interface to be able to work with. But it still has the same DNA that you'll find within the StoreVirtual platform, so something like the StoreVirtual VSA. Now the price point of this solution is certainly reasonable, and the solution is also easy to deploy. And that's what we're going to explore today, is actually the initial deployment of the solution, or after it's been racked and stacked and cabled, what's the initial configuration look like. So with that being said, let's explore this management interface. So to configure this system, what you're going to do is take a cable, crossover cable, and plug it into your local Ethernet connection, and then you're going to plug it into the management interface on the controller, and they'll detail which controller you want to plug into within the documentation. And then you're going to set up your local Ethernet network to be on the same subnet as the management IP address. So it has a pre-configured IP address on the management interface. To be clear about the deployment, I've changed my management IP address so I can access this remotely and record this video, but everything else about this process should be exactly the same. So let's log into the system using the default username and password. And when we log in, we'll get a little bit of information about our storage system over here, as well as this configuration and setup button. So we're going to click on that. And we'll go through the initial configuration. First, we're going to accept the end user license agreement. So within each section, there'll be an action you'll need to take, and off to the side will be a little bit of information about that action. For example, if I scroll down a little bit, you'll see my initial health scan. I've got a couple yellow triangles here. Right, but if I look over here, I can see that that's normal for the storage solution. Right, we'll scroll down a little bit further. Next, they'll recommend a RAID type within your environment, so they'll configure the disks of a certain type of RAID that'll be the most efficient for the storage solution. So I've got some SSD drives as well as some spinning disks in the environment, so I recommended a couple of RAID 10s as well as a couple of RAID 5s, but I could change that if I felt like it. Next, we'll need to set up the data network configuration. I'm going to use what they recommend, which is adaptive load balancing, but you could certainly do active passive or link aggregation if you felt like it. Right, so let's set up some IP addresses. These will actually be the storage interfaces that you'll interact with. Of course, we'll need a subnet mask. We'll scroll down a little bit, so that's going to bond the first two 10 gig adapters. So my solution has 4 10 gig connections on it. You can get these with 1 gig connections as well as fiber channel. I'm going to configure the second bond here. So what the solution is going to do is bond the two 10 gig Ethernet connections on each of the controllers. I'll keep on going down through the configuration. Next up is the default gateway. My storage network is separate from my normal network, so I'm going to leave that empty. Next, I can continue the configuration. It's set for yes. If I look below, there's a few other things that I need to configure, such as the management credentials, settings, as well as the default volume. Right? If I go back up again and I change that to no, you'll see that all that has disappeared below. Right, so of course I want to continue with my configuration, so I'll leave that to yes. Right, first, the management credentials. I logged in through the default username and password. After I put in these credentials and run the setup, I'll have to log in through these credentials. a little bit further to the settings. So management group is a term that you'll hear a lot with StoreVirtual. It's a little bit more obscured inside this environment, but it is still something that we will need. So we'll call this a new MG. And we need a new pool as well. So a storage pool name. So we scroll back up to where they set up the RAID sets. All right. This will be all under this pool that I'll create. All right. And after the RAID is done, whatever raw storage is left will be all aggregated together. As a matter of fact, since I have SSD drives and spinning disks, and if I add a license, it'll do tiering. So hot blocks of data will get moved up to the SSD drives, and colder blocks of data will remain on the SAS drives. But a pool has to be set up in order to be able to accommodate that. And that's what they're looking to create right here. So we'll call it new pool. And then we'll need a virtual IP addresses that all the storage interfaces can answer to. And again, a subnet mask. If you want to change your storage system name, you could do that here. If you want to create a default volume, you change that to yes. I'm going to show you how to do that in another video at some point. Next, it'll be remote support. So this is basically so HP can monitor the health of the storage system and alert you in case anything bad is happening within your environment. So let's log this up. Is our phone number. I'll allow them to contact me. And then next, if I have a proxy, you'll want to add that into the environment. I do not, so I'm going to select no. All right. That's everything I need to put in. So let's click OK. And then it's going to pop up to make sure that we agree to the remote access. So I am sure I want passive remote support. And now it'll go through the configuration of the system. So in essence, right now it's configuring the bond on the first controller. And if I expand that out, we'll get a little bit more information on the steps it's doing within that. Okay, now we're on to the secondary controller. I'm going to take out a little bit of the dead space in this, or hurry this video along a little bit. So if you want to get an accurate representation of time here, I'd look down here or even over here. And again, we can expand this out and see where we are as far as the process is concerned. And if we look at the first one, you can see that it's done. Next, we're on to the health check. And again, we could expand that out. We'd see different things running at different stages. Now we're on to configuring the RAID. And if you remember, I had a few different RAIDs that the system was creating. I was creating 2 RAID 1s with my SSD drives. And then I was creating 2 RAID 5 with my 8 SAS drives, so 2 RAID 5s with 4 drives each. And then after that RAID is completed, all that disk space will be aggregated together in a pool of storage. Now we're on to configuring the system settings. Now we're getting initial progress. Configuration progress, and this is storage systems in progress. What is going to happen here is once I click close, it's going to log me out as the initial user. I'm going to log back in as the administrator user account that I've created. So I'm going to click close. It's logged me out. I'm going to log back in. And it's going to quickly finish up the configuration process. Right, it's going to give me a notice to actually proceed to the dashboard. I'm going to click on that. up here is the main dashboard for the system where we can get access. And actually this was available during the setup process, so if you run into any issues you can actually explore that if you felt like it. You'll notice that we've got 8 active alarms here, or warnings, so we're going to click on that real quick. It's nothing really to worry about. You could say it's running the parity across the arrays, and the email is unconfigured, and remote support, it's giving me a little notice about that. These will clear up. Obviously I'm going to have to put in some email configuration information like that. That's easy to set up. Just gone over to settings. So you edit email notifications. You add your server. And then the sender address. And then you want to give a recipient and then whatever warnings or notifications you want to give them. I'll click OK. And then so the system can talk to the world and get updates. You're going to want to set the DNS settings as well. So we'll give the storage system a name. Add a DNS server. As well as a suffix. Then once that's complete, any other settings you want to enter, you can go back to the dashboard. Again, it'll take a little while for these clear up, but they will clear up. Over here we can see some of our recent activities. Again, this will clear up and we'll get a green circle in a little bit. You can also notice that now I've added the DNS entry. I can see there are updates available. Right, so I've got a patch that is available that I could deploy. Right. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and please stay tuned for more videos.